Pessoal, presta atenção, a gente começou a avisar um negócio, a gente marcou bem em cima da hora aqui, então não deu tempo de correr atrás de tradutor, de qualquer inteligência artificial para traduzir ao vivo. Então vai ser no estilo raiz mesmo, a gente vai falar, vai traduzir um pouquinho aqui. Isso. Importante é ter a oportunidade, né, de conversar com um dos maiores coaches do mundo, aí 10 vezes campeão do Olímpia.
Eu acho que para quem assistir gravado vai ter a legenda também.
Será?
É, eu acho que tem a legenda do próprio YouTube.
Ah, tá, tem.
Consegue
o próprio
ajudar
YouTube
bastante.
Faz.
Gangster Lord Gangster.
Vamos pedir para ele contar resumidamente, assim, rapidinho, só um pouco do trabalho que ele fez, que muita gente acabou conhecendo pelo Rafa ou pelo Flex, mas ele tem aí uma outra caminhada. História.
Eu lembro do Neil num documentário, acho que da BBC, há muito tempo atrás, com o Flex. Pergunta para esse.
Neil, we were saying that we would like to hear a little bit about your story, because many people know you all for Rafa or for Flex, but you have a long journey before there, right? And he said he remembers you in a documentary of BBC with Flex.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. So I started training when I was 19 years of age. It just kind of happened by chance, basically. I went to my first competition probably within about 2 weeks of training to watch. And I didn't really have an interest in bodybuilding at that time. But when I went to the bodybuilding show, straight away I was like, I want to be a bodybuilder. So it just kind of happened by chance. And then I actually competed in my first show only after training for 12 weeks. And then obviously fell in love with the sport, fell in love with the discipline and the dedication and the challenge, I guess. And I was very lucky to have a very successful amateur career moving up the ranks. In 2002, I turned pro. I probably could have turned pro many, many, many years beforehand. But as much as I love the challenge and the lifestyle of bodybuilding, I also like to have normality in my life. So I would spend sometimes just as much time out of the gym as I would in the gym. But I started coaching when I was about 21, 22. And I've been very fortunate to just meet some incredible individuals and athletes and clients around the world. And
hold on, let me just translate a little bit. Pessoal, ele tá falando aí que, né, Bezinho, que ele começou a treinar com 19 anos, né? E duas semanas depois de começar a treinar, foi num evento de bodybuilding pra assistir. Não tinha interesse na época, gostou, né? E logo depois ele já competiu. Em 2002 ele virou pro.
Quando ele saiu do campeonato, ele já falou, é isso que eu quero fazer.
Decidiu que é isso que ele quer pra vida dele. Em 2002 ele virou pro. Disse que podia ter pego o pro até um pouco antes.
Nossa.
Né? E que nesse meio tempo aí teve a oportunidade de conhecer vários grandes atletas. E what year you started coaching? 21 years old, right?
I was about between 21 and 23.
Começou a treinar a galera aí com uns 23 anos de idade.
Nossa.
What's your age? Sorry to ask.
I'm 55 next month.
Nossa, 55 anos. Tem chão de coach, hein, mano?
Mas começou muito novo.
20 anos.
Very young.
You started really young coaching, right?
Yeah, really, very, very young. But it wasn't a means of making money. It was the fact that maybe my physique was very developed. My thought process of training, nutrition was very different, and the success I had on stage, and people who were inquisitive to know what I was doing. Mm-hmm. So it was more the fact of me helping people because I genuinely wanted to. Yeah.
O físico dele era muito bom e a galera queria saber o que ele estava fazendo, né? Então ele começou a ajudar as pessoas e it was a natural process, right?
Yes, and even just stepping into coaching, I never said to myself one day, I'm going to be a coach. It just happened. Mm-hmm. And then what happened with athletes having, great success internationally, all of a sudden there just organically becomes a huge amount of interest in individuals working with me. And then it made me realize that I can't commit myself to my normal job and coach all these people. There's not enough hours in the day. I decided to step away and just focus on coaching.
Ele falou que nunca quis ser coach, né? Que aconteceu, né? E que começou a ter uma demanda do mundo inteiro das pessoas quererem treinar com ele, e ele teve que... Ele falou assim, cara, eu não consigo levar meu trabalho normal e ser coach ao mesmo tempo. Então, ele se dedicou a fazer um só, né?
Ele também, não falou agora, mas ele tinha... que ele fala de garagem, que é oficina, né? Ele trabalhava também montava móveis, essas coisas.
Caramba.
Lá em UK. E aí teve uma época que ele trabalhava em 2 trabalhos, trabalhava de segurança também em boate à noite. Foi quando ele começou a competir, quando ele virou pro. Eu trabalhava nessa empresa durante o dia, à noite trabalhava na balada, né, de segurança. E foi logo quando o filho dele nasceu também, o primeiro filho dele. Então foi uma época bem difícil.
Tudo de uma vez.
Tudo de uma vez. Mas ele se saiu bem.
And why you did not continue the bodybuilding career?
Because when I was born with a very severe knee defect on my right side. And instead of my ligaments being tight, so my joint would do this. My joint was rotating. And I was an international swimmer.
Really?
So from the age of about 7 to 8 to the age of 15, I swam for Wales. And my main stroke was breaststroke. And it's a completely unnatural movement through your knee. So that sort of movement over a period of time was giving me bone-to-bone contact. And, probably for the last 6 years of training, it was very difficult for me to train without being in a lot of discomfort and pain. And when I turned professional back in 2002, it was just open class bodybuilding.
Yes.
And I knew I had the genetics to be an open class bodybuilder. Even though I knew I had to put probably another 12 or 15 pounds of muscle, I grew very easy. I was very genetically gifted with building muscle, as long as I was disciplined and dedicated. But for every pound of extra muscle, that would be more compression on my knee. And the quality of my life was terrible.
I can imagine.
And unfortunately, there was no 202 class. There was no 212 class. There was no classic class. If those divisions were there, I could have naturally stepped into those divisions.
Yes.
And I'm somebody who's 100% in, or I'm not in at all. I have to be striving for something. So I made a decision to retire. And it was a very hard decision. I didn't train at all for 6 years.
Wow.
Didn't train at all. I was kind of feeling very lost because bodybuilding was a big part of my life. But I just naturally then put more time into my coaching. So I retired in probably like May 2003. And then I met Flex in September 2003. And it's funny because it just happened, you understand?
Então eu perguntei pra ele por que ele largou a mão da carreira de fisiculturismo, porque ele tinha um físico incrível. O Gordex tá puxando umas fotos aí pra gente mostrar. Ele disse que ele nasceu, né, com problema no joelho. E que esse problema se agravou porque ele era um nadador nível internacional e que ele fazia, o tipo de nado que ele fazia causava um movimento não natural na parte do joelho dele, que foi piorando a lesão, desgastando a lesão, e chegou num ponto que, porque na época dele, né, até é bom lembrar que a pessoa esquece às vezes, não tinha 212 nem 202, né?
Não tinha nada, era só open.
Era só open, ou o cara era open ou não era.
Open ou não era.
E aí ele falou que cada quilo, cada peso que ele ganhava, o joelho dele sofria mais e mais e mais. E aí ele decidiu abandonar a carreira dele de atleta. E não só isso, ele, quando abandonou, ficou 6 anos sem pisar na academia, né? Que é mais bizarro ainda. Sentiu perdido. E aí ele falou que ele pegou o Pro em 2002, ele parou de competir em 2003, e no mesmo ano ele conheceu o Flex Lewis aí, que, pra quem não sabe, galera, é um dos maiores atletas da história, 7 vezes campeão do OLYMPIA aí na 212. E aí esse é o físico dele, é um bom físico, hein?
Excelente, né? Pra época, né?
Very good physique. Very good physique.
I was very fortunate.
Yeah.
I mean, I trained for symmetry and shape and conditioning. I always stepped on stage in conditioning. It was very important to me.
Yeah, Flex always talked about your conditioning on stage, right?
Yes. We had similarities as well to a certain extent, I was very lucky that genetically I built muscle. And I was very thoughtful, and like my process and my idea of a nutrition was very different to what was taking place. But I had to change my training style because of my tendons could not keep up with my strength and my development. So I had to start changing my training because I kept on picking up tendinitis, not due to poor form, just because of rapid growth and development. But unfortunately, even though I had the genetics to build that muscle, I had very weak joint stability. So hereditary, I was very weak in my joints as far as, bone density, etc.
Ele falou que tinha uma facilidade muito grande de ganhar peso, mas pelo contrário, ele tinha uma fraqueza muito grande na parte de ligamento, articulação. Então ele conseguia subir o peso, mas o resto do corpo tava chorando.
Ele era um classic, né? Ele era um...
He said you looked like a classic physique that time.
Yeah, and I was probably... in those pictures, back in those days, I didn't have any photo shoots or anything like that.
Yeah.
And I'm actually as dry as stone in those pictures. You don't see it, but I'm absolutely like granite in those pictures. And I'm probably only about 187-ish, roughly there. 187. Yeah.
Ele falou que não dá pra perceber pela qualidade da foto, mas que ele tava na pele aí nessa época, que tava
bem condicionado, né?
bem condicionado.
Com 85 quilos.
Com 85 quilos aí, por volta de 85 quilos, que é uns 190 libras aí, mais ou menos.
É o peso de Classic.
É.
Excelente.